Hello everyone, I am back with one more video, and in this video I am telling about what type of question was being asked by the National Testing Agency of the JEE Mains paper of 6th of April 2023. So I go through the question paper. The medium of the question is not so much easy. Some questions are easy, some questions are difficult, and some questions are more difficult. So telling anything else regarding the question paper, I am telling about that what type of question was being asked. That is the most important question. So going through the class 11th of the physics, there were some portions like kinematics, NLM friction, how to determine the coefficient of the friction, how to determine the static friction, the kinetic friction, the limiting friction. Like limiting friction is mu static into normal reaction. So this type of question was being asked by the National Testing Agency. Secondly, in the rotational portion, there were some questions, that is, if a circular disk is rotating, then how their linear angular momentum is conserved, and before conserving the angular momentum, how can we determine the different types of forces and different type of accelerations, and determining the moment of inertia. This type of question was being asked by the National Testing Agency in the rotational portion. Now, before analyzing anything else, I am telling about that the level of the question is not so much easy. Some questions are easy, but which persons has more number of questions. So going through the question paper, I am telling about that the portion of the class 12th has more number of questions as compared to the class 11th. Going through the class 12 portions like the electricity, the charge potential, the capacitance, the modern physics portions, and so many portions of the optics, the ray optics and the wave optics. So 12th portion has 60% of question as compared to the class 11, because 11th has 40% of question was being asked, and in the 12th there were 60% of questions. So before going to the question paper, I am telling about one question like the Wheatstone bridge, in which you have to balance the Wheatstone bridge from both the terminals of the resistor, that is from the left side and from the right side. And after balancing the Wheatstone bridge, you can remove the middle resistor in order to determine the required current and whatever being asked in the question paper. So there is one question of Wheatstone bridge was being asked. Secondly, there are some questions of the parallel plate capacitor, like when capacitor is fully charged. So what happens when capacitor is fully charged? Then it develops the infinite resistance. So before when you charge the capacitor fully, it develops infinite resistance, and when infinite resistance is developed, then that capacitor will produce the zero current, because potential by infinite resistance develops the zero current. So the parallel plate capacitor questions was also being asked. One question is asked like point potential method, in which you have to assume the potential at a point is zero, and after that all the three charges are going in all the directions. So we conserve the Kirchhoff's current law, like Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3 equal to 0, and Q1 equal to capacitance into potential. So all the capacitance into potential has been conserved at a point potential method, and from this we can easily determine what potential was being asked and what type of charges or current was being asked by the question paper. So in capacitor, this type of question was being asked. Going through the optics portion, like lens maker formula, 1 by f equal to mu minus 1, 1 by r1 minus 1 by r2, where r1 and r2 are the radius of curvature of the first lens and the second lens. These questions was also asked by the National Testing Agency. And one thing I'm telling about that the question of the modern physics is not so much difficult. Like the general question was being asked, like decay constant, half life. Suppose if anything is decayed like 100%, then 50%, then 25%, then 12.5%. So if we can determine the time period or the half life, then we can easily assume that if anything is decayed like 33% or 66%, then if 33% is decayed, then it is in between the 100 to 50%. If 66% is decayed, then it is in between the 50% to 25%. So from this analysis we can easily determine what time is required before the decay. This question was also being asked by the National Testing Agency. And there is one question related to the lambda, in which there is lambda is given, and after that what time is required in order to determine the decay constant. So there is a formula, that is n equal to n naught e की power minus lambda t, and from this formula we can easily determine that what is the time in terms of lambda. If anything is decayed 5 lambda or 6 lambda, then we can take the ratio of n equal to n naught e की power minus lambda t, and secondly n equal to n naught e की power lambda t, and dividing these two ratios and compare it with the ratio whatever it is given in the question paper, like 1 by e square, 1 by e, and comparing all the exponential term, we can easily determine the time of that particular decay constant. So there are some questions in questions of simple harmonic motion, like the general equation of the SHM is y equal to a sin omega t. After differentiating we got a omega cos omega t, acceleration minus ka a omega square. So this type of framing type of question was also being asked. Suppose there is a spring is given, and the block is attached with the spring, that block is doing the SHM. That type of question was also being asked. So the difficulty of the question is not so much difficult, but analyzing the question paper, we determine that the 12th portion has much more question was being asked as compared to the 11th portion, starting from the electrostatic up to the modern physics. So I recommend that all the students that just focus on both the 11th and the 12th portion, because it is not decided that if the shift one has asking the question of much more of 11, then maybe it is in shift 2 it will much more for 12th. So you have to give the equal time to all the 11th and the 12th both portions equally to get the National Institute of Technology, that is NIT. So I recommend to all the student is that just focus more on 11th and 12th both the portions, not just you give only time for 12th and just leave the 11th, because rotation portion, center of mass, linear momentum, these portions are also very difficult. So I recommend every student that focus on both the 11th and the 12th portion equally in order to get good marks in the JEE Mains examination. The difficulty of question is not so much difficult, because every student has its own knowledge. If you have a good knowledge, then obviously you can easily tackle the questions. So give importance to both the portion, not only 12th, give importance to 11th portion also, mechanics portion, and all the portions of center of mass, rotation. These portions are also very fundamental clear concept portions. So I recommend all the student is that just go through the, you can also go through the paper. When you give the paper, then you can also match your answers with what you have tackled the question, so you can easily determine about your positions or your rank. So this is the analysis of the question paper. So at last I am telling is that the portion of class 12th is much more asked by the JEE Mains examination as compared to the class 11th portion. So just give equal importance to all the portion and go through the previous year question paper. Previous year question paper are very much important. They will boost up your knowledge and also guide you to tackle the question paper. So this is the analysis of the paper of the JEE Mains examination, and I will make some more videos after finishing the session of the JEE Mains. I will make some more lectures of 12th, 11th, all the portions, tough questions, and very good concepts, clarity, everything. So thank you very much. Just do hard work, hard labor, and get the NIT with a good rank. All the very best.